Welcome back, everyone, to session 18 of Pandemonium. Crew, let's kind of kick it off with a recap. The crew has actually just earned their way into Kosir's fight for peace, meeting the first reveler, one of Kosir's own divine creatures, Arapo, who was holding kind of like a testing tournament to see, looking for participants. And with that, they were able to go up against Arapo's Chimera and come out victorious. It was a tough fight. A couple people went down, but they were eventually able to beat the Chimera, but not just beat the Chimera, they were able to get the crowd excited or hyped up to see the Gavels fight, even with the Gavel's reputation in Akaro. But with that, they were able to earn their place in the tournament. Arapo let them know that the week ahead of the tournament as well, many nobles from both Eteria as well as the surrounding lands would be coming in ahead of time to hold parties, to almost network a bit as well. And then he encouraged all of the tournament participants to make their way there and get a chance to see what opportunities lie for them, giving the champions or the participants, I should say, each a gold coin that when the tournament draws near, they can tap wherever they are and will teleport them to the tournament grounds. Outside of that, too, the group was able to spend some downtime before that, each kind of pursuing their own ends. Jeet and Mockery were able to connect with their factions, training with the Flame Keepers and the Hell Knights, and learning their ways and unlocking their archetype. Wisteria was able to make her way to Akaro and find the Yashin, an underground, kind of the criminal organization, the organized crime group of Eteria, and find a little bit out about kind of the commander arcs, finding that kind of how he came into being in General Thrax's service, as well as some of their own connections to the Ashen. Will was able to spend some time as well learning kind of about what is going on in Mechas, looking for different kind of clues on that side to help when he potentially makes his way there to find blessing. And Belric was able to use some of the fire of Nar to help make some crazy elemental arrows and get those crafted out. But with that, and after kind of concluding the summit of the Emperor's Summit, where they decided that a tear would be going to the Loyalists after some infernal banter, that's where the crew is. So you guys are right now in the city of Akaro, still surrounded by the crowds. You saw Velnu, your kind of one-time contact, kind of waving you guys over when you have a moment free. But right now you are next to Arapo, the first reveler, servant of Kosir, a satyr, one of Kosir's own creatures, and you do see he's kind of smiling at you. Finally retrieved his cup and is definitely looking at you guys and going, "Boss is gonna love you guys." You know, a little bit worried. You guys don't have the best reputation. Mockery, have you seen like some of the pictures that have come out about you recently? I mean, the cartoonists have been going wild. You guys have. I mean, you're doing some good. You're doing some things that maybe people don't like, but people are talking about you.
We're working on it. We'd like a better reputation, and hopefully the tournament is a place for that to happen.
It could be. It could be. And you kind of see him like reach out and kind of like holds his hand and like two like different newspapers appear. And he goes, "Well, you guys, I mean, two different factions are saying different things about you. Nothing really positive, though." And he shows you one picture where you see the prince, High Prince of Terza, kind of looking regal, righteous fury on his face, hand on his sword, and you see kind of a raid around the table. You see the loyalist representative, kind of like the old kobold, but he has like these demon horns out of his face. You see, kind of looking around, the monks, some Lisa, the first flame. They look normal in this picture, but they look like outraged and like appalled at what's going on. But when you guys look to the crew on this one, Mockery looks just fiendish. Like he looks like he is like half on the table, scratching and like howling, just like pure monstrosity. Kind of like this cartoonish depiction of what's going on. The rest of you guys even have like some fiendish features. The one exception being Agnijit. He looks a mixed, like it's almost like they try to draw very subtly. Doesn't have any demonic features. He looks almost. Some people would say he looks entertained. Some people would say he looks like appalled. It's like they really did like a manner that could go either way. But the rest of the crew, though, Wisteria, like your orcish features, just exaggerated, with kind of like infernal markings across it. Belric, your bear, is there, like also howling and like scratching at the table. Will, like usually where you have like this divine glow in most people's eyes, like it's got like a hellish aura around you. Like they really went out of their way just to make you guys look crazy and touched by the Inferno. Obviously, this is the imperialist camp propaganda they're putting out. But the thing is, like, you guys look pretty much the same way in the Loyalist, except High Prince of Terza looks like he is having a temper tantrum and storming off. And the Loyalist representative looks a little bit more calm and collected. But either way, you kind of see the stories coming out that you guys endorse the Loyalist, and the Imperialist are saying that the Loyalists are now infernal touched, backed by the infernal gods, cursed by the true gods of Eteria, that all true Eterians should denounce them. And while the Loyalists are saying that the High Prince of Terza is too young, too impulsive to rule, and that the Gavels are just an infernal front doing some good to cover up their evil. And you kind of see, like, and you look back at Arapo, and he goes, "Yeah, these are all over town. But you guys seem cool."
Can I have one of those?
Mockery takes. Mockery's gonna take his image, put it with the others, and look very, very guilty right now.
Arapo, he hands one to you and to Will. And he goes, "Yeah, they're all over town." But
thank you.
Tournaments are a good way to. I don't know if you guys want to be like this. May be the rep you're going for, but tournaments are a good way to turn around if you want to, or you could probably go further even if you wanted to. I don't know.
We'll see.
I mean, certainly I hope all of the teams we'll be facing at the tournament are seeing this and shaking in their boots.
Is the tournament important enough that all of the leaders will attend?
You see him nod, and he goes, "Yeah, good thing Kosir pushed. He made sure that the Loyalist, the Imperialist, as well as General Thrax and his group will be there. He wants, our whole philosophy, get everybody together, share a drink, talk it out, maybe throw a punch or two, but everybody gets up, nobody dies, and it's cool." So, that's what we do.
Oh, good. I can fully get behind that. In fact, I may need your associates' helps in brewing up some convenient cooperation, but we can discuss that later.
Guess he kind of nods a little cautiously. He goes, we can talk about it. What probably run it by Kosir too, but biggest thing is we want to bring everybody here and Kosir see if he can work his magic and hopefully avoid the whole war thing.
Yes, that is also what I intend to want to avoid. So yes, I think we are aligned on this.
But it looks around. Unless you guys have any other tournament questions, big thing if you can, week early, holding some festivities. Kosir won't be there to the day of, but I'll be there. And nobles will be coming. I know some people from Codinia, Fortunately, not the Fessians. With the war going on over there, that's our next stop. But the Codinians, maybe we'll get some people from Dosen. Kosir has been making the rounds. We want to. It's getting a little hectic out there, and we want to just slow everybody down, get a chance for some fun.
I'm just interested in one of those mugs that magically refill themselves. How do I win one of those?
Hey, hopefully you guys will still be in the tournament then, but either if you're not in the tournament, this is going to be a 3-day affair. Day 1, rounds 1 and 2 of the tournaments. Day 2, Kosir is throwing a bash. Drinks, games. Maybe we can find one of those mugs, but we'll also be raffling off for the winners some of Kosir's nectar. I know you adventuring types love that. The nectar of the gods themselves. Get a chance to see what it's like on the other side.
Mockery looks super excited at the prospect of getting some Kosir's nectar.
And for the party too, so for Kosir's nectar is like one of these, like, it's a prize brew. Some say it's the reason he was able to kind of truly, after even after his own adventures, truly can secure his spot as a god. But basically what this does, it gets long rest in a bottle. So when you drink it, you get a long rest. Your health is restored completely. Your spells are maxed back out. But it also has like an extra effect to it. Sometimes you may be able to breathe fire. Sometimes you may just be a little bit luckier. It gives you something extra on top. It's definitely for adventurers, even warriors. It's very it's a prized possession because it can turn the tide.
Nice.
He goes, yeah. Hope to see. I mean, looking forward to seeing you guys there. I mean, you guys got the crowd going. I mean, probably need to tighten up some of the attacks and all that. But hey, you guys have weeks. But keep the party going. And you see him snap his fingers again. I don't know if you still had your drinks. Nothing happens. But if your drinks are low or empty, it refills. And he goes, "I'm gonna mingle, but good meeting you, Gavels. And good that you guys aren't dicks like they say. So hey." Later.
Looking forward to it.
Always good to hear high praise of us.
For once. Hey, you know what? Spread the word. I say as he's leaving, just like, just tell everybody you know.
You see him just raise his mug as he walks back.
All right, this is certainly going to be an event. I'm worried about getting, like, assassinated or something. You know what I mean? But who knows? We'll see. We can handle ourselves, I'm certain.
You're on mute, Wisteria.
I apologize for my poor performance. Showmanship is not my strong suit. I work better when people aren't aware of what I'm doing, and so trying to make a shot of everything. All of you are very effective at that, but I'll do my best to get better in time for the tournament.
No worries. We don't need every single one of us to be showboating all the time. I'd rather win first and make a good show of it second.
Agreed.
Now,
Eric, are you going to be all right with your beard?
With my beard?
Oh yeah, you froze it.
Oh yeah, so it's all chunked up. Us Stonehearts grow their beards back at an extraordinary rate. A little trim, and it'll be back to normal in time for the tournament. Totally forgot about that.
Dwarves are fascinating. It took me 3 weeks to grow this goatee.
And it's not a great goatee.
Got him.
Damn. I can imagine, like, Mockery just looking wide-eyed to the ground. Lisa Simpson style.
What are you talking about, Belric? I think it looks great.
Great, yeah. He looks at the patchy fur and Terrible scars everywhere.
The occasional feather.
Mockery's appearance definitely made it pretty easy for the satirist to just go crazy with making him like look at him making him look crazy with the cartoons.
They probably
Like,
didn't have to do
a little
much.
understated in the
Yeah.
cartoons. So.
It's probably the most accurate depiction of mockery yet. I'm messing.
Perfect.
Velnu?
You guys-
Before we get carried away, I think Velnu wanted to speak with us. It's been a while since I've seen him, so I'm eager to hear what news he has for us.
Yeah, and you guys do see Velno. He's kind of been waiting off to the side, kind of watching you guys, watching the crowd, watching Arapo. He did have like kind of an ornate wine glass in his hand, and he definitely he looked like he was dressed well last time you saw him, but now he really looks like understated wealth. He's dressed like robes, nicer, freshly pressed. Some like definitely some. He's like one of those rich guys that's wearing like no brands, but like you look at him and realize he's probably wearing like $10,000 worth of stuff. That's kind of Velnu's look right now. Nice robes, understated. It's not gaudy. It's not trying to shout out like new money, but definitely it's showing like he's gone up a little bit. And he does give a smile as you guys look over and kind of waves you and goes, "Gavels, it's been too long since we've met in person. I've seen you all have been very busy. Do you have time for a meal?"
Of course.
Follow me. There's a great spot near the inn that I am staying at. Of course, on me. But please, this way. And you see he kind of leads you guys through it's kind of one of the nicer districts of Akaro. He's got like this private room on this inn at the back, and kind of puts in an order for food. But he sits down behind the table, and he looks at you guys and go, "Before we get into business, I've heard lots of things about you guys, but how are you? I mean, it seems every storyteller has a story about you all."
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you that none of what you heard is true.
No, some of it.
I mean, except of course.
Like us not being traitors.
And of course, everything that I told you is nothing but the truth.
I wouldn't doubt you on that side. But first, I wanted to thank you all. The information you all retrieved from that Arisen Den, very valuable. We were able to, those droners you came across, those little bugs that froze people in their place. We made a bomb out of that. We're still tweaking it, and you guys see him bring out like 3 of them. Gift to you all. But if you throw them, anything within a 5 feet radius will hear that buzz and maybe slow down. And you guys see him push out a recipe card too. And of course, feel free to take the recipe. Though it is proprietary, you're able to make it yourself. If you give it to a rival, we'll be in breach of contract. But I will never make you pay full price for this. You can go through and make your own if you need additionals.
Rather generous. And I must say, it is good to see you again, my friend.
He still looks a little bit hesitant, but he goes, good to see you as well, Mockery.
We appreciate your... Will looks down at this bomb, just looking horrified. Generosity is exactly the right word.
Think nothing of it. I mean, these will be hitting production pretty soon as well. So, rising tide lifts all boats and all of that. But I didn't come here to talk of past successes. Though there's one more I want to mention, and you all did pave the way for that as well. But I came to see, what are the Cavils doing next? What? I've seen that you are looking to participate in the tournament, but As I said, we've got a partnership, and I'd love to deepen it if I could, but I'd love to know what is next for the Gavels.
I mean, I think at this point, our primary objective is bringing peace to Eteria in whatever way we can. I mean, there's certainly profit to be made here in this war, but there's a tipping point to where the economy starts taking hits that are difficult to recover from. So we want to make sure that we're on the winning side of things. And we've gotten a lot of information from the different factions, and it's not clear yet which one might rise to the challenge. But we've, and I'm sure you've heard in the newspaper, been making a few moves in that direction.
Oh, yes. And speaking of that, I didn't want to talk about my past success, but speaking of the factions, your actions caused one of my successes. With all of the information you guys sent about Thrax and kind of your dealings and things you were doing, he needed weapons and needed weapons cheaply. I made a deal. So Mokulin is now supplying not only Thrax and his faction, but also the Imperialist. I mean, profits are good. And that's you guys. That's right. Drinks, food on me. You've done me a great service and earned me a promotion. So, Gavels.
Thrax and the Imperialists.
Oh, yes.
My.
Loyalists, unfortunately, won't deal with us, but 2 out of 3 is not bad, right?
Wonderful.
No, that is perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Exactly. Not only, is Mokulin making a lot of money off of this as a result, but now once we get to the position where we decide it's the most advantageous move is to end this war, we can cut off supply to one side or the other and put the advantage in the camp that we want to throw our support in for. Assuming all of your contacts and associates agree to that and see the value in it.
You'd have to make a very, very good case. Right now, they are buying weapons at an exorbitant rate. Let's say stop buying weapons. But hey, we let's not go down dark roads. This is a celebration. This is me seeing how I can help you. You all wish to bring peace to Eteria. Let me say my goals aren't aligned with that right now. But what about the Gavels? I think you recruited more people to your organization. What are your organization's goals outside of Peace for Eteria? What do you want the Gavels to be?
That's a good question. Primarily, it's just to maintain peace wherever we go.
Maintain peace and order, ideally. Oppose chaos, I suppose, is the way. The non... what does it call it? Political way to put it.
And creating opportunities for anyone to thrive despite who they are or what they might be like.
Okay.
Personally, I agree with all that except for the peace. Okay, that sounded bad. But conflict is what shapes us, drives us, and makes us challenge ourselves and challenge the world around. Makes us better.
Yes.
Just needs to be ordered.
Yes, exactly. Like this upcoming tournament, right? A perfect mix of order and peace and conflict.
Exactly.
I agree. Conflict has a means of separating the wheat from the chaff, we'll say, letting the cream rise to the top, and all of that. I'm glad you all speak of the tournament. Do you have any sponsors or any obligations or business groups you're dealing with in regards to your participation?
I wasn't aware that was a thing people did in this tournament.
I mean, we are not allied with either of the 3 factions, if that's what you are asking.
Oh, no, we're not. I stay out of politics if I can. I'm talking more on the business side of things. People like to watch fights, and people like to watch, let's say, influential people on the screen. And we want to make sure that we can potentially assist you on that. We've got a deal already when it comes to trading secrets for gold, and I appreciate you all so far for those efforts. But I'd love to help the Gavels a little bit further. I'd love to. There's some terms and provisions, but I'd like to sponsor you all personally. This would be for my own resources in the tournament. This would not be a Moklin endeavor, but I'd like to sponsor you all in the tournament to the fight for peace.
So what would that entail?
Well, as I said, I've made a deal with Thrax. We're buying weapons. He's buying weapons. We're talking, and one thing he mentioned a little bit bitterly, I may add, was that he had a decommissioned warship that you all could have had if you yada yada yada. I'd like you guys to fight under my banner, or to fight with my endorsement. We'll say you'll still be the Gavels. If I'm Sarah, there's no change to that. But the great Lord Corinius has allowed me to have my own side business. And with that, I'd like to sell weapons utilizing your likeness. If you make it far enough in the tournament, let's say if you complete round 2, I will buy that decommissioned warship for you, and it is yours. Seems fair. I mean, that's what you have to do. I will promote the Gavels. It seems like you guys are going for more of the outlaw heel type of promotion. I mean, very easy to work with your current marketing. And with that, you guys will have your own ship. I'm sure I can help scrounge up some followers for the Gavels as well. It said, rising tide lifts all ships.
That certainly sounds very lucrative for everyone involved. Could you give us some time to discuss it amongst ourselves before we make a final decision on the matter?
Oh, of course, of course.
What, I guess this would probably be Wisteria, but like, what would we know anything about his current reputation right now?
You guys can give me a society check if you'd like to, just to kind of see if you know kind of how Velden is doing in like the months since you've seen him.
Yeah, I can
Sure.
roll for that.
In addition, while that's happening, I do have a question. What did he mean by selling weapons in the likeness of the members of the Gap?
So yeah, Velden will kind of break it out on that side. We'll go, well, you all have a reputation. You sound formidable. Talented fighters and all of that. We would sell kind of a mixture of our artists depicting you all using your weapons, you utilizing that great sword that you love so much. Wisteria with her patented bow.
Not patented by me, I should say.
Oh, of course. But showing you all using these weapons, and then just kind of playing off of your current reputation to sell weapons to more people. And these would be
My great sword.
Sorry. Go
Mockery would say,
My great sword is from the Black Tusks, a Black Tusk Isle. I had to take it and then have it repaired. If you sell weapons in the likeness of this, I want to know, will you package it with the Black Tusk name?
Of course. Some people call it appropriation. I just call it spreading of the love around. We'll definitely say Black Tusk. We'll use that story. You earned it. You took it. And people can feel like they took it themselves, too.
Mockery's eyes narrow a little bit, and he mulls it around in his head. On one end, this, going for something like this would probably earn points of Makesh. But if he actively. I feel like Rog wouldn't like the Black Tusk being a product, like just like Black Tusk weapons. Like, but Mockery will not. Anyways, he does like the idea of more swords like his own out there. Of people buying it because they think of him and the Black Tusks.
Jeet, Wisteria, you guys got a really good read on kind of like you've got probably kept up a little bit with what Velnu has been doing since, and he's been propelled pretty well. Like his reputation, because before he was small time, he was working out of a refugee camp, pretty much just trying to get whatever little profits he could. But he's used some of the information, especially kind of, and you've heard tell that he's brought some invention that has really kind of propelled him within the ranks of Moklin, and earned himself his own divine directorship. It's been a while since we talked about Velnu, but he's also a cleric of Corinius. So he was before kind of an alkalite, promoted to cleric, divine director, and with during that kind of that period of time, and especially since he's recently landed the deal with Thrax. He's a pretty good player in both Ateri and Moklin now. He's come up. His reputation is being kind of not ruthless. He goes through, kind of finds exactly what he needs. Never has gone back on a contract though, or never gone back on a deal. But he definitely looks for every gold piece he can find.
Would I have any idea if he or the people that work for him would be able to create repeating crossbows like this? Or is it something where and I don't know what's happened in the year since I left Moklin, but if it's something where he wouldn't even have the knowledge to create it without contact with Juba.
If you provided him with the recipe for it, Moklin's pivoted to guns more than crossbows. But if you provided him with the recipe, he's probably going to sell it. But
yeah, I guess what I'm asking is would he be able to create them without the recipe that I have, or is it? And maybe just based on my knowledge on how have I heard about these kinds of crossbows being used anywhere or anything like that. But because I don't want to give him the recipe without Juba's permission.
I mean, you guess if they spent time on it and research on it, they could do so.
Gotcha.
Moklin's pivoted to guns. That's
okay.
where they see their future.
Well, I'll ask him. So obviously, if we succeed in this tournament, that will do. Besides earning the worship, it'll do a lot of good for you. Do you think you could provide some funds to help with increasing our chances of success? There's lots of potions or other equipment that might be useful in battle that we could use some funding for, that I'm sure after we make a lot of progress and succeed, you'll earn all that spent money back.
See him kind of pause and he goes, potentially. Are you not feeling confident in your chances?
I mean, you saw that challenge we just completed. I think we'll be able to make a lot of progress. But outright victory of the whole tournament.
Any advantage we could get.
Exactly.
Would be helpful.
I think we can win the tournament. But if it's because of you we win the tournament, imagine how that'd look. Quite good if you asked me.
We can slap your brand name on the potions we consume, and the people in the crowd will notice that.
Well, I do like having my name out. This would be it's a subsidiary of Moklin, but this would be my own corporation. Potions, and if you need funds, how about my brand name on your armor, your robes? What about that?
Mockery slams his fist on the table and goes,
Capes for all the gavels with your logo's name on it. So when it billows in the wind, everyone will see.
Okay, but we would still also have the Gavel's
Oh, of
own
course.
logo displayed big. Yes. Okay.
This is building both of our brands. I want to make sure that you all, the Gavels, because let me tell you a little bit of a story. This is something of a bit of a Mokeland tradition. A lot of the Divine Directors have done this. The sponsored adventuring group, you all get into such high stakes events. And no matter what you do, you bring press, whether good or bad. I'd like to have my own. I'd like to be thought of alongside of you guys. And use that to sell and do all the things. But by the Divine Executive Officer for Cranius and Mokeland Inc., he did the same thing with the prefects. And you all have heard of the prefects. And you guys, I think you guys have heard a little bit from the prefects. They're basically the premier adventuring team. Like they are like SEAL Team 6 for Kazia. And definitely kind of Mokeland backed a little bit. And he goes, I'd like to, I don't know if you all reach those heights, but I want to deepen our partnership. You all have your own headquarters for the Gavels. This warship is a considerable cost to myself, but I get to reap the benefits of some of the gear and merchandise we'll sell in your name.
So here's my one concern with this generous offer you presented us. The fact that the warship comes in only with completion of round 2, which is, again, something I think we'll have no problem accomplishing, does provide you an incentive to limit our victory in the interest of saving Ucoin. So I'd appreciate a slight restructuring of the deal to where at least we are guaranteed some level of funds, regardless of the outcome, to ensure that your incentives remain aligned with ours.
I can't see him think about that. And he goes, of course, I could put in a provision. I would never work against you or have any of my operatives or any of Mokeland Industries work against you. But for me to be able to market my goods and to have people want to buy your equipment, you need at least to have some success within the arena. If you're knocked out the first round, nobody wants to buy a loser's gear.
Of course, and certainly, I've heard a lot about your activities in the past few weeks, and I know that you've never backed out on any deal or anything like that. So if we include clauses related to those sorts of protections, I trust that you'll uphold your side of it.
Of course. I'll never bet against you, never go against our own interest here. So this is, well, it's a subsidiary. This is my company. This is my chance to earn my own gold. And I want to make sure that, as I said, everybody is happy. Happy partners, happy life. So with that, of course, I will put in a provision. I will not bet against you, work against you in any manner. And then, as I said, if you are willing to put my logo upon your gear, I will give you a disbursement of, let's say, 200 gold. And you are able to utilize as you see fit to prepare for the tournament. Fair?
Will mentioned he wanted to discuss amongst ourselves before agreeing to it, but I assume we'll come to a quick decision and report that to you.
When you see it as like you're speaking to you, like food comes in, like and it's kind of like and I'll see kind of where everybody brings, like, it's not like just like a Tarian's fare. Jeet, though, you do get some of the Atarian fare. You get some mochi, as well as like some of like the spicier stews. But for the rest of you guys, it kind of depends on where your food preferences lie. And if anybody has any kind of shout outs in that way, it's definitely one of the ones who did his research a little bit and had the chefs prepare. But he does kind of stand up and go, well, I'll let you eat in peace. I did look into you all and found some things I know that you may enjoy, eat, live. I will be at my room at the inn. If you'd like to pursue this deal, come find me then. We'll sign the paperwork, and we can both rise. But even if not, it's been good seeing you all, and I wish you good fortune. And he kind of gives like a little half bow, and he takes off. And anybody, do they have any like a favorite food for their character? I know Jeet's easy, but for anybody else on that side, favorite food that they'd want to have that you may have been able to find and put at the table.
I think Will, if he's absolutely done research and picked out like something as Will would really want, it would be like Southern style biscuits and gravy that. Will would be like, how did he know I've been missing this? The one good thing about Lumox.
Definitely have that there. Belric too, he's got like a lot of different beer types, a lot of stouts, a lot of hearty beers, even some like imported from Dosen.
Say some mutton. Some mutton as well would be his food of choice.
Definitely some mutton then too. Wisteria Mockery, any favorite foods for you guys?
So Wisteria would
Definitely
probably
have some.
two contrasting things come to her plate. First, there's a solid loaf of dark brown bread that looks like heavy as a brick, and her eyes light off. She's like, "Oh, this is the bread they would serve in the food halls at school. It gives you energy to study through the whole night, and it tastes awful, but oh, the memories." And then next to that is a platter of various exotic fruits from like all over the realm. And she says, I've only researched these. I've never actually tried them, but I'm interested to see what they taste like. I've been dying to get my hands on this. This one's from the Aurea Forest. This one's from Grove City. This one's from Thezia. And I've only read about them in books.
I said, my friends, eat up. This is on me. And he looks to you, Wisteria, and goes, either way, whether you decide to join our partnerships, come speak to me. There's something I'd like to discuss. Just, unfortunately, Gavels, without the rest of you all. But this would be, people from your hometown may miss you, let's say, Wisteria. And with that, you see him kind of give another short bow, and he walks out.
To say what's on Mockery's plates.
Yeah.
Shellfish, sea urchins, a suckling iguana, and surprisingly enough, a lot of raw swine that's been properly butchered.
You definitely see that
and he's just digging
when they place it in front of you. Like they're watching you as they put this down, just worried that you're going to be angry about it.
Did you say suckling iguana?
Yes. An iguana, like a big enough iguana that could fit an apple in its mouth that has clearly been spit roasted.
I see what you're saying. I was like, iguanas don't produce milk. What's going on?
No.
No, my bad.
What? No, he's just eating a roasted iguana. But right now he's chewing on a pig ear and he looks very happy.
All right, Will would look at everybody else. Yo, I don't feel comfortable being a part of that, endorsing something that's gonna be. I feel strange about profiteering off of the war going on. That's all. At the same time, I really do want that ship.
What makes you feel strange about it?
But it gives us an incentive to prolong the war. Don't you think? It means that we are no longer. I don't know. It's evil. It's bad guy stuff from all the stories. Don't you know?
Yeah, Belric would push away his mutton as good as it looks. He would still drink his beer. He would say, I agree with Will. This is Valnu's reputation is not something that we should continue to be associated with. I don't think we want to go down that road. If we're to win this tournament, we could erase that. If we are to get sponsored by Velnu, we'll reinforce these newspaper articles that we see looking like infernal touched monsters, right?
Mockery kind of clears his throat at that.
I was about to say as a follow-up, Makesh, but I believe leaving with that would be a mistake now. As someone who has grown up with people who are very, very good with money, personally, I say this is a grand investment, and to simply let it slide on by, to slip through our fingers, it would be a foolhardy mistake, especially from Velnu. I think we can trust him. Well, trust is a strong word. I think we can rely on him.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it's not that I don't trust Velnu. I know exactly what Velnu wants, and it seems like he'd be relatively, straight and narrow regarding his contracts and whatnot. I just don't feel. But at the same time, that ship. Will looks off into the distance wistfully.
There is something that I haven't told you all yet, a recent happening that I was informed of, which leads me to want to get the ship as soon as possible. I made a bold claim that by the end of the tournament, we would be able to get Thrax to, to swear allegiance to the High Prince. And I am still hoping that that could happen if we can figure out what the differences are between Thrax's philosophy and the High Prince. Terza, see if we can get him to be, Thrax to be a steadying hand for the High Prince. But should that not come to pass, I and, the Gavel, we will not be welcome in Ateria. In fact, we will want to leave as quickly as possible by the fastest route.
What?
What? Who did you make this promise to?
So this wasn't a bet that I made for my initiative, but because this is something that we were proposing to the Imperials, the information was leaked to me that on the Imperial side, that should we not succeed, a bounty will be put on our heads.
Ah. Interesting.
Should we not succeed with what?
To get Thrax to serve the High Prince.
We discussed that as a possible avenue, so we all thought that might be a good idea, but I don't know if by the end of the tournament that puts a very strict timeline on things. I don't know if we're going to be able to make that.
Nor did we all commit to this. It's you who committed to this on behalf of all of us?
Again, he has the most to lose from this. Ateria is his homeland and where he wants to reside.
Right. Again, this isn't... Yes. Wisteria is correct that I do not seek to leave here in a rush without our work being unfinished, without the land being at peace. And it wasn't that I swore the oath. This was the proposal that we all made to the Imperialist. It's just that, again, information was leaked to me that should we fail, we will not want to remain in Ateria.
All right. Well then.
So this is perfect because we can take the deal with Velnu, start winning in the tournament and make it clear that to the public and everyone that his company is very closely tied to us. And then we let him know after that, by the way, if Thrax hasn't bent the knee, we're exiled, and any business dealings you have in Eteria will probably get exiled along with that. So he'll be forced to work with us to get Thrax to bend the knee. Again, the timeline's kind of tight, so that might be tricky.
That does not sound like a good idea.
Well, I mean, why not? If we have Velnu's information on the differences between Thrax and the High Prince, and if we get Kosir to just provide the social lubricant to get these people together, I think we may have the only possible recipe to make this happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm saying this tournament is our best shot, especially if we can get information from Velnu.
All right. Well, I suppose I can work on that.
What workings did we have with Klaxo, the underboss?
That's what Wisteria made a contact with him over the last downtime. So he's kind of the underboss of Vakaro.
And that's where the tournament's taking place.
Oh, that's just where you guys are now. Vakara.
Where's the tournament?
They over here. Why is it not pinging?
Oh, sorry. I wasn't on the screen.
I think it's not pinging, but like over this area.
Okay. Okay, so Akara and Akaro.
Yeah, so it's Akara. I said Akaro the first time. It's supposed to be Akara.
Okay. All right. I thought that guy might have some influence. All right, never mind. I was going to see if we could maybe leverage this deal with Velnu. I mean, if we're going to break bad, let's break bad. And go see Klaxo and be like, hey, we've got this. Like, what can you do for us? But I don't know what
he's in the city you guys are in. I'm not sure what type of deal you can make with the Ashen, but they are in that city.
I mean, Balric will say, like, I don't want my name on weapons that are going to be designed to kill anyone, let alone, like, these will be used potentially to kill other Etarians. Like, is that what you want? Like, our names, our likeness being used for war profiteering? Like, this just doesn't seem, sure, a warship would be great, but at what cost? Like, I mean, to me, it's not worth it, right? And I don't know, like, this is potentially something we could maybe leverage with the other underboss. Like, hey, this is the offer we have. Maybe he can do something better for us that wouldn't ruin our name and likeness, because our reputation, even if we win a tournament, right? If we're being supported by Velnu, it's not going to be great.
Would I have any idea how Klaxo and his organization's resources and power compare to Velnu's, at least in Eteria?
Well, so the Klaxos are like the Ashen.
I guess I'm a little fuzzy on his role in the Yashin. Like, so he works for the Yashin, is that right?
Yeah. So he's the underboss, so he runs most of the underworld activities in Akara. But
yeah, so maybe the Yashin in general then.
They've got more resources than the Ashen, or more resources than just Velnu on his own. Not than Velnu was supported by Mokulin, but Velnu's own resources, they definitely dwarf his resources. The biggest thing is finding something the Ashen wants, though.
Right.
Velnu has clear wants. The Ashen's more of a organized crime front. So you'd have to find something that they would want.
I mean, what if we, like, throw a match? They could make a lot of money off. Like, I mean, that's what mafias do. I'm just saying.
Okay, so you are saying our likeness associated with Velnu would be terrible press, but if it got out that we intentionally threw a tournament of Kosir for the glory of Eteria, do you not think that would be irrecoverable damage?
We would have less blood on our hands.
Well, the weapons, as sad as it is for me to say this, but he's going to make those weapons anyway.
Right. But I don't know. Like the point is that we are becoming a part of it, and I don't like that.
We're going to be a part of it one way or the other, whether we want to or not.
I mean,
well, supporting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If we don't do anything with Velnu and we win a tournament, then you know we get riches like this. We don't have to accept what Velnu is offering us. We don't have to be part of this.
Will, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Will, I understand you come from a place of wealth and having power, and you've given that up, which is noble. But for a lot of us, we have to do what it takes to survive, and we have to. The world makes it difficult to have morals in situations like this. This is an opportunity we've been presented, and we have to. If we reject every opportunity that comes our way because of mere morality, then we're not going to succeed at our goals.
And what if we get the warship and someone gives us the opportunity to go destroy a village, and we would make more money doing that? Is that what you would have us do? I mean, we've got a choice. Don't make this sound like it's a foregone conclusion that we must follow Velnu.
I mean, it depends on the village, really.
And
okay.
The Hound of Cadinia.
Once we have wealth and reputation and a warship, then we'll be in a position where we can make sacrifices for morality. But right now, we're not in that position.
So the more I'm hearing the
say it, I do want a war profiteer. I want to sell weapons.
All right. Okay,
I want people to know our names, look at those weapons, and think of us.
Okay.
When they wield a crossbow or a bow or a sword, I want them to think the gallows. Isn't that a wondrous thing?
Belric and Belric and oh my god, sorry, I'm having a terrible day.
Will?
Mockery, yes.
Mockery.
Belric and Mockery, you have successfully convinced me to change my vote. I am now against Velnu.
What? But we just came to your monastery. There were many great fighters there. Right. You are a man of strength, power, control. These weapons can be used for just the same.
But they won't be.
What? They could also equally be used to slay the innocent. You know what I mean? Like.
Yes, I think it is on the borderline, but this may be approaching the anathema of Nar about letting fire go out of control, misusing power. Again, we are not the ones actively doing so, but if this happens, then it would indirectly be dishonoring ourselves. And Belric is right. And Will is right. We cannot for the long-term reputation of gallows. We cannot allow that.
We are not responsible for what they do with our weapons, what they do with our name. Look at what they're doing already. They're already smearing us, already dishonoring us. Look at the papers.
But we are right now on an upwards trajectory. Thrax has just revealed to everyone that, it was a ruse, that we are actually good and honorable, and we want to prove that even more with the tournament.
In the paper right now, they call us all infernal worshippers, even though I'm the only one who does. I'm the only one who's sane when it comes to that. Actually, no. Nar's pretty good. But
they will see Nar's power. They will see the power of light that Will wields, and they will be convinced. I have faith. So, Wisteria, you were about to say something.
What is honor? Well, like, you use it so regularly, but in many different ways. What is honor to you?
It is a many-faceted concept. It is like asking, what is love? And there is no one answer to it. There are different expressions of it. There are different codes and rules depending on what the relationship is. As I said, that we are maybe right now not as close to dishonoring ourselves by associating with Belnu as we would be by other actions we would be able to take, but it's on that borderline where being associated with death that is being caused in the long run, I think will hurt the gavel, or rather not hurt, but it will take away from us our ability to decide who we are and instead set it into the minds of the people who we are.
Jeez,
That's a good way of putting it.
we gave weapons to refugees when we first came to Eteria. This is no different. Those weapons could have been sold to anyone, but we saw where they were going. They were used to arm the people of Eteria when no one else would defend them, not even their own gods. This is no different. You say, it can be. I see it, and I say, I know what it'll be. It'll be arming of citizens, mercenaries, guards, and soldiers.
You don't know that. I mean, Velnu just said, we know he's a ruthless businessman, and he's supporting two sides already, so the more havoc, destruction that happens, the more he'll profit off of weapons, and those weapons will be in our likeness. It'd be great if they were going, it'd be great if they were going to unarmed citizens like they were in the past when we did what we did, but there's no way of guaranteeing that today. And if you can make a deal with Velnu that these weapons in our likeness are going to a certain group that we can get behind, then I'm all for it. But to just blindly put our names behind weapons, that's not good for the brand of the gavel, because they could be used to murder children. That's not what I'm here for.
I've been in Eteria for a few months now, and I've studied it for long before. And what I see here is, this word honor being thrown around, but what I see of honor is an attachment to the status quo. Gee, you've been following traditions of monks that have been established for thousands of years. The Eterians, with an immortal emperor, have been in this cycle of figuring out how to make things work for the people in Eteria in a way that works for them. And when you're born into that kind of society and you fit in well with it and you train under it and it works for you, it's great. I'm a half-orc. There's only a handful of us in this entire realm. I don't have teachers and mentors to look to that are just like me. And so I don't have honor or morality to look at, because my upbringing, my growth, the places I've lived, there's no one else like me. And so I have to figure out my own path of how to live and survive. And the path of morality seems to work well for you, and I'd like it to work well for me, but I don't know if it will. And that's what I'm so scared of.
I understand.
Wisteria, I believe you sincerely should look into the gods.
We are getting a little bit philosophical here, but just to try and remember some of the things that I was taught. It is not tradition entirely that honor is about. It is also a way of just asking yourself, like, if everyone in the world did this action, then would the world be better off for it or worse off for it?
It depends on the person. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique.
Right.
There's no one set of guidelines you can apply to every single person in the world.
I agree. I agree that it is gray, and that is why I have been flip-flopping, a word that I heard in the South. Don't know what exactly it means, but it is. I feel now convinced by Belric and Will that the needle is pointing a little more to the side of dishonor than honor, and I also really want that worship.
Can I just want to pull things back a little bit towards the original topic at hand? We discussed, you know, wanting to have our names associated with warriors and battle and all that things, but like, and I am perfectly all right if our names are associated with like noble warriors and you know, all that good stuff. But like, what I don't want is our names. I don't want people to see a burning village and think Gavel of Eva Sarah. That is my concern. But and if we associate ourselves with Vilnu, I worry that that might be the case.
But we've already saved Gavalia. Why won't people look to that as a place of what good we've done?
Well,
you're worried. You're scared of a possibility when we have an actual proof of the good we can do. And
well, on the one hand, it is almost a certainty, but beyond that, past good deeds do not allow us to just simply do whatever we want. People will be judging us by our current actions. You know what I mean?
This has gotten into territory I actually have pretty strong opinions of, and I've actually had some dealings where I have directly influenced a hamlet and changed it. And now I am... I'm a little bit on the... I'm not sure anymore.
You're so worried about people judging you, but that depends on who's doing the judging. In Ateria, sure, they'd be upset if Aterians got killed. But Mokalin, where I'm from, they would see not taking this deal as dishonorable, or their version of it. Like, every culture is different and has different ideas of honor, and each of us is naturally going to ascribe our own to it. So that's just what makes this difficult, is because in situations like this, we have different ideas of what is right. But there's no high-level single good or bad that we can turn to here.
So, are you saying that we need a formal decision-making process? Because there are some books in the library that can guide us through this.
Oh,
when I want to point out when Wisteria said that there's no higher arbiter of morality, Will turns and looks at the ceiling and says, "Shut up, shut up." Not right now.
So
Akri looks to Wisteria and just like takes something from his pocket and passes over like probably the equivalent of like a religious text for the infernal gods.
No, but I agree that that all of us, like, we have differences of opinions. In the past, I know that I have been a little entrenched, well, fairly entrenched, in some of my decisions, and so perhaps, but like, please do consider it, that if we can come up with a procedure that we can agree on, it will maybe remove the ill will that might, or resentment that might develop over the long term if we find that our opinions are not being respected in the group.
Tegan, is there democracy in Kasia?
There's actually one democracy. Ish. The Republic of Faithia.
Okay.
Oh,
Just wondering if we would have a model for such a thing.
So in my research, I've come across an interesting form of government that the Republic of Fezia has been trying out. And maybe we can apply it here.
They're a democracy, but they're also a democracy where you get a vote if you have land and wealth.
Well, yeah, that works for us because it's not like we're letting our followers vote. That would be crazy.
Why not?
Hey.
Let's ask the
I think
chef.
we
What does he
should
think about
actually. You know what? Maki will actually say, "I think we should bring our followers into this and see what they think."
Why? We control the fate of the Gavels.
But they are also Gavels. Are we not all? I presumed we were all equal in this.
Are we equal? I thought this was a hierarchical structure with the five of us guiding the organization and the others implementing our will.
I was not aware of that. If that was the case, and this is hierarchical, I would have pledged allegiance to the leader.
I think. Well, we don't have a single leader among us, but I think the idea was that the rest of them are followers of us. You could pledge allegiance to yourself, and I would love to see that.
Dictatorship below.
It's more of an oligarchy.
I'd like to call to session the first official vote of the leadership of the Gavel. And that vote is, should followers who are not leaders have a vote or not? I say, say yay, nay, or abstain. I vote yay.
I vote yay.
I vote nay.
We got
I'm
two
really
yays,
struggling
one
to
nay.
think. I'm really struggling to think of what Will would think about this. Actually, I
Even
think
I
Besnit?
did not realize this would come to democracy for the Gavels, but hey.
Wait. Even Besnit? That man has carried our burden for the entirety of our travels. He has dealt with our bullshit. Again and
What
again.
bullshit.
Do you change your vote?
I think if
The
Mockery was
banner
saying,
bearer.
I think if Mockery was saying yay, I would also say yay.
Okay.
It seems like Mockery would say nay.
For just clarity, where does Will go?
No, Mockery said yay.
Yeah.
No, I feel like yeah. I'm surprised by that.
On the one hand, I think Will would not have any concept of, like, he's heard of the Republic of Fessia, but he's like, that's weird. You don't have a king? What's wrong with you? You mean everyone's the king? That's stupid. But on the other hand, he's very much a proponent of, like, freedom. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, he's gonna vote yes.
The yays have it. So apparently the rest of the Gavels get to vote.
We do have one sort of mechanical problem though. Eventually the rest, like mechanical as in like the running of the game. Eventually our followers will outnumber us and their votes will determine what we do. And so Tegan's just gonna decide.
Well, we're gonna establish an electoral college. That'll do a little bit of what we want. So the populace doesn't get that out of control. You know, they can't have that much control. Sorry.
Okay. In that case, Jeet says yay to the electoral college.
I call for another vote for a specific leader to the Gavels. One to truly represent us all.
And to break ties.
Yes. Yes, no, exactly.
Well, there are 5 of us.
There are 5 of us. Yeah, Bear doesn't get to vote.
Yeah.
Wait, but Bear's a
But
follower.
there are the other followers, and we do not know when occasionally one of us will abstain.
What we can do,
and I vote for that.
Look, okay, here's what I think. It's like the advisors to the Emperor, yes? We can gauge their opinion. We can see, we can ask them for advice. We can see, read the temperature of like where they are at and make our decision based upon that. But our followers will be sent out to various different missions. They may not always be with us when we do the decision making. So we shouldn't mislead them into thinking that they will have this power when later on they may find out that an important decision was made without them, for example. So we can include them, but not in the voting process itself, just in the discussion.
What if a decision needs to be made when one of us is unavailable?
Well, then...
Not present is a vote that can happen. We don't necessarily need the entirety of the gavel to make every decision.
True.
And also,
well,
I'm kind of confused. It sounds like we made our vote about the followers and it ruled in favor. So,
but then it was brought up that at some point our followers will outnumber us.
So is anybody changing their vote in that
What we'll
regard?
do is take a quick break. I've got to go to the bathroom, but we'll give you 5 minutes to think of how you guys want to have your
Tegan had
followers
plans tonight. We have to.
It always happens. We just can't make a decision.
Oh, we need a decision.
How'd this go from, hey,
Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of session 18. The gavel brings brings democracy to their own faction. So we kind of cut out in the middle of you all's discussions on that side after being approached by Velnu with a sponsorship deal for your latest tournament, with the offer of a warship if he's allowed to sell some weapons with using your likeness. The group, I think, is leaning towards no on the weapons, but right now we are talking about kind of how the gavel wants to run itself. So I'll let you guys get back into it.
Right.
Oh,
so
no, I've already forgotten what we discussed during the break.
So
We need a unified leader.
It's funny because you would think that I would have thought that I would support that, but I see the 5 of us as the united leaders. So within the 5 of us, I think we should make it equal. We are represented by the gavel, not one person. No emperor in this one.
I disagree. Even amongst the gods, the infernal gods, Tomek reigns supreme.
Well,
Yes,
we're
but-
not the infernal gods.
Right.
And for good reason.
Tegan, correct me if I'm wrong, but among the Shaper gods, there's no leader.
Oh yeah, so the Infernal Gods are the only ones that have a hierarchy. Everybody else just kind of does their own thing.
Right. Yes. So yeah, that's what he'll respond with among the Shaper gods, they were all different domains, no one underneath another. So I say this works for right now. And again, if it ever came to be that there were only 4 or not forbid 2 of us, then it would be
Potentially promote a lieutenant to the gavel's status.
I assume that's a temporary voter tiebreaker.
Mockery, would you like to call a vote on whether we should have a leader or not?
I think we have 2 people's votes, but yes, I do. And of course, my vote on this is yay.
Well,
Nay.
we're missing 6 voters. We should. And I'll go fetch the followers and on the way explain them the whole situation.
Before you go though, is everyone good with giving an equal say to every single follower that we have? Is that what you voted for?
No. I think that was decision was made in haste. I think we should consult them when we feel necessary, or if they have a very strong opinion, meaning if it's unanimous one way or the other, we could consider it because they are our followers. And if they're all unanimous and we make a decision against it, they may not follow us anymore. But we can't have their decisions being equal to ours because the stakes that we have are higher than theirs.
Okay, so our previous vote was lacking clarity. That's pretty clear. So here's my current proposal based off some things Heath said earlier. If this vote passes, each full member of the gavel, and she gestures to the 5 people here, will receive 3 votes anytime a vote is called. Each follower will receive 1 vote. And then Jeet spoke about a sort of if your vote doesn't, if you're a leader and the vote doesn't go your way, you get an extra vote you can use on future votes, so that no one person ever gets.
What I would call a contempt vote, which would count as a half vote. That if you have been overridden enough times, then your voting power would increase.
Well, so we don't have to get into fractions. Each vote, we each get 3 votes, and then there's 1 for the contempt.
Makes sense. Of course, yes.
Any other amendments to this proposal before we vote on it?
Mocker he's been pressing this hard and he'll keep at it.
I believe we should vote 1 member. Truly, I do. To have, say, 5 votes.
Out of us?
Yes, 1 of us to have 5.
I'm good with that. We need to have more power than our followers.
This may end up being this. Sorry, Will. Go ahead.
Mockery, can you explain why you think somebody should have 5 rather than 3?
I need to have at least. If we're putting in a hierarchical system, I cannot be a leader.
He's going to dedicate each vote to a god, isn't he?
No, I'm not going to dedicate. You know they wouldn't all vote for the same thing. Plus, Thomas is the only one that matters.
I'm just very curious. Who is Mockery voting for himself for leader? Or who does Mockery think should be leader? I wish I had an NPC here because I'm asking in character.
Oh, okay. So Mockery's vote for who should be basically the leader, the tiebreaker for the faction, is Wisteria.
Oh.
But I'm assuming you don't say that out loud, or do you in character say something to that effect?
Oh, yeah, no. Mockery will just say,
I vote for Wisteria. She's the one who knows us all best and is actively trying to interview each of us. She's the one who collects all the facts and information. And while her moral guidance is dubious, I believe at the end of the day, she'll make the right call.
Okay, so I have 2 things to suggest about this. I am happy with Wisteria as leader, as long as this is not a permanent position for life, as long as we get to rotate or, just make sure that this isn't absolutely permanent. And the second is that as long as we reserve the right to scale up our votes in the future as leaders, should the organization grow beyond 10, 12 people.
Well,
I concur with this, but I abstain from being leader. Leave me out of that rotation. I am a follower, a learner, not a teacher, not a king.
You bring up a good point about how in the future there's still it could come to pass that 3 wouldn't be enough to overrule the number of followers. Oh no.
So okay, so
Will has a nosebleed.
Well, Wisteria, actually, I have an amendment that instead of giving each follower a vote, we let them, as Belric has been saying, we let them first decide what their own decision-making process is, and it just doesn't have to be unanimous. But if at least 2/3, they have a 2/3 majority, then they can tell us that decision, and that decision can have a fixed number of votes, either like 2 or 3, if you want to go that far. But I think 2 is enough. If all of us have 3 votes, then someone representing the 2/3 majority decision of our followers gets 2 votes.
Are we forming a government?
We need to. How else are we going to make decisions?
And it's an awesome government, by the way.
We are a faction of warriors, of diplomats, of learners. Not a state.
What do you think a government is, if not all of those things working together?
Oh.
All right, well, you might have got our vote there, buddy.
Golden light starts pouring out of Will's eyes, just dripping down his face. Like, oh, I think my brain is leaking out.
Interpreting all of this, an amendment of having a leader with 5 votes, every other member having 3, and then the followers collectively having 2, with a vote of contempt granted to each party, 1 vote upon failing. That's the current proposal.
I would like to propose an amendment for how the leader is chosen. Rather than an electoral, because we'd be talking for hours, I say this by challenge, by might. That one of us can challenge the leader, and if they are successful in that challenge, they become the leader.
I oppose this. I think it should be a rotation, that each of us take a season. Every season we rotate out who the leader is until we all get a turn.
Jeez, you're a follower of Noah. I spent days learning your tenets. It is actually one of your tenets to accept a duel from an equal opponent. How could you oppose this?
Okay, that is true, but you are not challenging me to a duel for a title that I have right now. Right now I am, and he searches for it. Right now I am defending Will's honor. I'm not saying that Will is entirely incapable of defeating you. No, listen. Look, when it comes time for you and Will to combat, and the light of the heavens and the light, the fires of the infernal gods fight each other, it will be terrible. It will be terrible for our Will, who hasn't worn an armor in his life, right? So, on his behalf,
to the laser and obliterate a shadow demon. I think he has a good chance.
Oh, well, it only really works on the shadow demons mostly.
With Sarah's pen runs out of ink.
I feel like if I bit you, I'd be poisoned.
With Sarah's pen runs out of ink, and she conjures another pen out of shadow using her shadow sense ability.
There's 5 of us. What's wrong with majority rules?
Yes, I agree. We do not need a leader with 5 votes.
Yeah, I was thinking
so let's
the
put
same
that
thing.
to a vote. Democracy.
I think we've already.
I think it's 3 in favor of no leader, or Wisteria. Where do you come down on that?
So in terms of the proposal, the last proposal I gave, minus leadership, I would say not in favor of no leader.
So it sounds like Will, Jeet, Barrick, are you 3 in favor of no leader?
No leader?
Yeah, I don't see the point.
Okay. So no leader, and I'm going to forget. Remember, your voting system is up to you guys. But from what I remember, it's each of you guys get 3 votes. The faction, if they agree 2/3, gets 2 votes, and that's how ties be decided.
I like it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Now to the matter at hand. Now I go fetch the followers. I explain the whole situation to them.
Now we must debate and convince the followers.
So one thing before we get into that, you do have faction downtime. I forgot from last section.
Oh, yeah.
Are you recruiting anybody to add into this kerfuffle? Because they
We
would have been
need
on board
Bard.
before we got there. Yeah.
We should recruit someone who's going to vote in favor with what I think.
Someone lawful good who would not want to do that. I think that's who we should recruit.
All right, we're looking at the character traits options in the character creation screen.
We want a bard and just roll it out, Tegan. Chaotic.
I say we roll on the alignment table for this
Yeah.
bard.
Like
See
it.
where he lies.
I like it.
I don't want to be the tiebreaker here. 'Cause I already know how. Well, I don't know how one of the followers would vote. I don't know. I don't think that follower has thought about anything like this before. But I don't want to vote for the other one.
They abstain. Snake abstains.
So first off, before we get into how that follower is, we're definitely gonna roll that out. What type of follower are you guys looking for a follower, and what type of follower are you guys looking for?
Bard. We need someone to sing our praises. We're desperate for it out here.
Yeah, we need a spin doctor.
Spin doctor. That's a good way of putting it.
In the crowd, we need someone chanting gavels.
Gavel. Yeah,
It has to be
can't
someone
me.
in the crowd because it's obvious.
It can't just be me in front of the person.
I think Oster did it for you once.
Yeah,
the
true.
duel.
Yeah.
So you guys are looking for a bard that can kind of spin some of your press that sometimes skews negative into positive. It kind of tell your story around Cassia.
Like that.
Perfect. So this is faction rules or faction downtime rules. So you need 2 successes out of 3 chances. So each of you guys, 3 of you guys can take a chance and kind of decide what you want to do. Others can aid one of those chances. And if you guys get those 2 successes, you'll have this new bard in the crew. So how do you guys go about it?
Yeah, we didn't think about that one. Let's put the 2 of them.
Yeah. Now we have to do it? Ew.
I suppose Will would be somewhat good at finding the few people who don't hate us in town, and having conversations with them. You know, charming and recruitment and all that stuff is his specialty. That's what they pay me the big bucks for. So I think Will would just be attempting to. I guess what he's really doing is finding the people who don't hate us in town and letting them know that we're looking for help.
All right, give me a diplomacy roll. You kind of go through the town and try to find kind of the people that don't hate your guts and see if you can convince any of them to lend their ear and hear what the gavel's pitch is. Nice, yeah. So, Will, you're able to go through and kind of maneuvering through taverns and market squares, and you're able to find a group of people who've heard some of the tales of good things you've done. Some of them, either fishermen, they may have traveled and passed by Gavalia. Those that may have heard that you fended off the luminescence from taking the Emperor's body. You've got a group that's willing to listen, at least, and you got your first success.
All right, and I think the flavor of this is none of them are the actual person, but they can point us in the direction of somebody who's interested, and that is why it's not just automatically already done.
Okay, I think maybe me and Bear could venture maybe on the kind of the outskirts, so fishing villages, maybe even searching like hunters gatherers, right? But like more natural aspects of the areas, searching for bards.
Okay.
Nature check.
He's hunting down a bard in the woods.
Hunting down a bard in the woods.
Yeah, definitely give me a survival or nature check. Your choice.
Why do I just see him like looking at a torn piece of bagpipe like, yes, we have a trail.
I think I rolled a 32, yeah.
Yeah, so you go through kind of like moving through kind of like the hunters' villages and kind of like on the outskirts of Akara, the fishing villages. And you definitely kind of like catch the tail of a bard who likes to kind of just travel and spin his tales, and kind of one that's confident walking through the wilds on his own, but also confident in kind of spinning and making a mountain out of a molehill whenever it comes to a tale, whether it be for good or for ill. You guys do have your 2 successes, but let's see what that third one is, and we'll get to meet who the new follower is.
If you get a third success, it's a hot lady. I'm kidding.
What are you talking about? Wisteria is already a member of the Gavel. But yes, I'm gonna try to contact the Yashin through my new friend Klaxo and see if they know anybody who they've used in the past for smooth talking and convincing people of the truth they want to be spread.
Oh, definitely. Give me a society check.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, the Ashin kind of like confirming with between some of the people that Will spoke with in the taverns and marketplaces, as well as where Belric kind of hunted through the fishers' villages and hunting lodges. They do kind of come together within the Ashin's data, and the Ashin point you over to like this just halfling bard named Marcin. This guy that's traveled from Sonaria all the way to Eteria, across the world, and just and you see like he's just got this little loot along with just reams and reams of paper, just a bit of a cocky smile on his face. He definitely seems like the type that could spin a story, definitely kind of one that could make good press into bad press, bad press into good press, depending on how his tongue is lying. But we're going to see kind of a little bit more about him on this side. So we're going to just go the old school D&D tables with this, just to see kind of a little bit, because I don't want to make his full personality, because it's going to be a tiebreaker, or potentially a tiebreaker. So with this, somebody roll me 1d4, which is going to be on the good or 1d3.
1d3. All right. I got the first d3. Okay.
So he's neutral. And somebody else give me another d3 for lawful chaotic neutral.
Oh, this is gonna be fucked if he's just pure neutral. He won't have an opinion.
Who's taking
I got it.
He's neutral.
Oh my god!
God damn it!
You find
he's perfect.
He's willing to go for the cause, and he's one of those ones. He's a bit like he's a glory hound. He's willing to do it for the glory, do it for the gold, but he doesn't really have his own moral compass. He goes. I mean, he's not really out for immoral deeds. He's not really going to just screw anybody over, but he will take some shady deals if he thinks it's benefit enough for him. But he's just kind of out there. If he thinks there's glory, gold, and fun in it, he's down for it. But he's definitely a storyteller, a spinner, somebody that can get out some of the Gavel's own good that they're doing. So
my goodness, we grabbed the guy who'd do it for the bit.
What was his name again?
Marcin, Marcen. Sweet. So now
He's perfect for us. We deserve him. We did this to ourselves.
Yep.
So you've got your 5 followers in there. Marcin's kind of kicked back on the chair, eating some of the remains of the food. Ostin is kind of like walking in and just kind of smiling, but a little bit bemused. Beshnit is bitching as he comes in. Like he's holding one of the pictures of the Gavels, just complaining quietly to himself, like, never like this with the High Arbiters. Nobody ever called us terrible people.
You're bearing our banner.
Yes, I am the standard bearer. I thought that would be a little bit more honorable. And you see he kind of just takes his seat pouting. Elisa comes in kind of hanging to the backgrounds. And you do see Boro comes in, but he comes in with some food of his own too that he kind of passes around as well. Going, well, I already made some. I know they provided food, but just peck on this too if you need some extras.
Love him. I love Boro.
So I don't know if you is there any new arguments anybody wants to make, or do we want to have the crew voted out?
I think we need to do the vote, otherwise we're going to be here all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we can.
Yep.
All right. So, somebody roll me a d20 for Boro. Mockery, he recruited Boro. He's a kind of a country bumpkin. He's never really thought about something like this.
Oh.
He's the one that does not have a bid.
I'm on my phone for this one. I need someone to roll. This is the first check for Mockery. I need someone to roll with the D20.
Somebody else roll a d20. Everybody can go for it.
All right, I got it.
All right. He's in favor of taking the deal. So you see Boro.
A worship means a kitchen.
What's that?
A worship means a kitchen.
Yeah, worship usually does have a kitchen. So you see Boro kind of first hesitantly votes yes for the deal. Elisa jets her hand up and just gives a quiet. More resources seem logical. Beshnet votes against the deal. So hold on. Elisa, Beshnet, Ostin. Ostin's like, well, they'd make us famous, right? The gavels and they'd spread our word. I think maybe they'd make a staff against my staff. I don't know if it's just for you five. I'd like to be in on this. He does vote yes. And you do see Beshnet. So Beshnet already voted. Boro went. The Bard, the neutral Bard. he's gonna vote yes, I guess. So you've got two votes. You've got the 2 votes from the followers going to yes. Let's wrap this one up, crew. Final vote. What does the Gavels think on supporting for taking Velnu's deal? Not taking Velnu's deal. You've got 2 votes from the followers on the board. What's everybody doing?
Mockery will vote yes for all 3 of his votes. Kind of caving in on that one.
Will was a no, as before.
Hey.
Dark's an A as well. Gee, I think this is up to you again. Which one is G firmly a no? Firmly, or has he gone back at all?
I could tie it right up. He is now convinced by Belric, especially firmly a no.
Okay. The nays have it, I believe.
I cannot believe it. A forge master, a duelist, a follower of Na, voting no for weapons in his likeness to be sold, to be spread around the Terria.
For what purpose?
Order! Profit!
Chaos. Destruction. Just like your infernal gods.
That's
All
only
right.
one of them.
Wisteria stands up. She takes the book that Mockery passed her and pockets it, and then says, I'll let Velnu know our decision. And head to his in-room and give a knock on the door.
I make things so much harder for our group, don't I?
No, we have a lot of characters with a lot of hard opinions.
Oh no, this is in character. Like he's saying it out loud.
Sorry. Oh my!
It's
It
not
would've
your fault. We're just a weird group of misfits that can't agree on nothing. It's
And
fine.
we still have time to get a sponsor if we want.
I never considered a different sponsor. I didn't even know sponsorship was a thing that happened in this.
Yeah. Except the first one that goes our way. All right. Sorry.
We could be sponsored by the gods. Maybe.
No. That is a can of worms you don't want to open, Mockery. Where's
Don't make glimpses into this.
No.
where did Wisteria go? She knows people from people with wealth, yeah, who might be able to sponsor us.
We'll discuss it when
I
she
think
comes
that's
back.
that's a perfect cut to Wisteria.
Yeah, so there you're able to find this kind of opulently appointed inn, and they definitely they escort you very quickly to Velenu's room. You see him behind the desk, smile, and goes, "Good news. I hope we can further enhance our partnership."
Any sort of partnership between you or I is something I'd like to discuss, but for the time being, the Gavel has voted that there will be no partnership between the Gavel and Velenu's enterprise.
A pity. I would have thought this could have been a profitable venture for both of us, but your decision's your decision. I hope we can still continue sharing information as we have.
Yes, I'll definitely keep doing that.
Well, other matters. As I said, I had a message from you, all the way from Moklin. You're familiar with. He kind of looks over at you and he kind of leans in, goes, Divine Executive Officer Corden. And Mysteria, you definitely would be. He pretty much is the right hand of Corinius. He's like First Flame or a Shin or Arapo for Corsair. Corden is basically Corinius's mortal will. He's the one that organizes. He's pretty much Corinius's right hand. Does a lot of his dealings, a lot of his organization, handles a lot of his operations. And he looks at you and goes, "Well, Divine Officer Corden, he has a bit of a riddle for you, but as well as an opportunity. He's looked over your proposal that you made before being, let's say, expelled from the Moklin University. He sees some promise in it, but there's a fatal flaw. He asked me to ask you what that fatal flaw may be. You don't need to answer now, but I will let you know what he is thinking. There are two tests. If you can figure out what the fatal flaw in your proposal, as well as accomplish, let's say, a bit of a heist for us, we will not only remove your banishment from Oakland, we'll make you one of our field agents, one of those to officially gather information for the great corporatocracy.
This is a generous offer. I'm honored. I'm excited to hear the details of this heist. I presume I'll be accomplishing it with the help of the rest of the Gavel?
You would need assistance, so hopefully they will back you up. Basically, what we are doing, this is between us. One of the lords that will be attending the celebrations for the tournament has found his way in possession stolen property, intellectual property from Moklin. Have you heard of our, let's say, separation from the Forge Master? And there's a pretty extensive bounty upon his head. The Forge Master left, and on his way out, he sold one of his inventions that we had sponsored to this lord. The lord has the blueprints within his airship. All we need you to do is, during the celebration aboard his airship, utilize those skills that you got you initially exiled and snatch them for us, and then bring them to the Divine Officer, and you'll be one of us again.
Seems easy enough. What's the name of this lord?
You kind of see him pulls it up, and he goes, "This is Lord Corin Essex. You see him, and Wisteria spent some time in Codinia. You would know, I don't know, my pointer or my pingy isn't working, but you know he is a Lord of Codera. So he's kind of the great Lord of Codera, and kind of rules that area and its surrounding lands. And he'll be throwing a party. He's bringing some of his other minor lords with him. Basically, the airship will be, you all are going to be competitors within the tournament. He's inviting all of the competitors that wish to attend to come by. You'll have a chance to make your way in amongst the other partygoers. And then you'll just need to find his vault. And bing, bang, boom. You do your thing, and you get the blueprints. And then just bring them back to us. And promise, and as I said, we need to keep this on the low and make sure there's a non-compete clause. As long as you bring these blueprints to us and only us, we'll both, first of all, compensate you, but also revoke your exile and bring you into the fold as an agent of Moklin.
And what blueprints am I looking for? What type of blueprints?
See, now, this is said confidential. But before the Forge Master left us, he was working on an enhanced version of an airship. He burned the files when he left and sold the rest to this lord. We need those back. So, find that enhanced airship. And then we are golden.
Have I heard of this Forge Master and his like exile before?
Oh yeah, so it was one of the news pieces. So Forge Master Finian, he's been a Moklin fixture forever. He is basically was the driving force between a lot of their ideas. He is the one that invented the first pistol and kind of like handheld gun. The Docent Federation invented the first rifle, but he's behind a lot of their core inventions. And give me a society check if you want to know a little bit more about Finian as well. You definitely from living in Moklin, you're familiar with that kind of like the sterilized version of his reputation. But let's see what else you know about him.
I'm going to use a hero point on that.
All right. So you've heard a bit about him. Genius, brilliant, the Forge Master. One of the big things you know is kind of one of the pieces of gossip. He's over 1,000 years old. He's basically replaced his flesh with machine parts. Some people call him a Warforged, but he's not really a Warforged. He's definitely just taken some design principles off from them. One of those definitely the flesh is weak type people. And he's also responsible, even with that role, you would know, he is responsible for the Forged Men, which are kind of a process that Moklin has invented where you can take the average person, kind of strip them down a little bit, and mix them with some machinery parts and take a commoner and turn them into a threat, even for some of the more talented adventurers by stripping their humanity, throwing some forged pieces on, and churning them out.
And my role might not be high enough, but the thing I'm most curious about is why he left Moklin. But that probably is closely guarded secret.
Fortunately, not high enough for that, because it's one of those ones that'd be surprising for Wisteria, especially with your access to your father. Corinius and the Forge Master have been partners for over 1,000 years. It's very surprising that they decided all of a sudden to break off.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do, and hopefully, we can have a positive arrangement despite the vote of the gavel. But I wish you the best of luck in all your work going forward.
I hope fortune favors you as well. If you do decide to take us up, divine officer will be at the tourney grounds. He'd be interested in meeting you. So if you do get a chance, go meet Corden when you're there. Hopefully bring him a present when you arrive with those blueprints. And then I said, I did not know the answer. He did not share. It let me in what your thesis was. But he said there's a fatal flaw, though there's a significant promise within. He'd be most interested in seeing what you come across. And I said, it's no worry. We still continue our other partnership. I think we could have made money together, but always a happy partner versus an unwilling partner. So go in peace and go without worry.
I appreciate your willingness to look past this missed opportunity and acknowledge the ones that we still have. And with that, I'll head back to the gavel. So I spoke with Velnu. He took it surprisingly well, but he's a shrewd businessman and knows that making enemies is not profitable. And he also provided another opportunity for us to earn some wealth and connections, though not directly with him. The Divine Executive Officer Corden of Mokulin has asked that I, with the Gavel's help, retrieve a blueprints for an enhanced airship from an airship near that will be at the tournament grounds, and then I'll go and explain, all the other details that he gave me. So does this seem like something the Gavel would be interested in?
Well, we can hold it to a vote, and you and Mockery have the extra vote now. But I say yes.
Wanting us to burn that early, eh?
Yeah, let's hold it to a vote, and I'll also say yes.
Why not?
Unanimous, and you guys use your tokens.
Well, you don't have to use
I don't think
them.
they have to use them, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys made the bylaws. Do you have to use them?
No, they have it in case they want it. The extras.
Mockery's going to save them up until he has 15 and use them all at once. To just decide
Is
something.
that possible?
Well, yes, it's a fine art system. Will made me realize, yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's like, do he declare himself the supreme leader of all of the Gavel?
Like,
Probably
that's
Mockery
been-
would do that, but it's be like sometimes do we do a sacrifice for the Infernal Gods or no? He's like 15 votes, yes.
Just like a bust him out, like we're going on vacation. The hell?
So, yeah, this is. It's like on the border. It's not very honorable mission, but at the same time, it's a set of blueprints that needs to be liberated, right, and see the light of day. Everyone should have access to technology. So,
Well, not exactly. The intention or the request from the Divine Executive Officer is that the blueprints are returned to Mokulin and not shared with anyone else. And she kind of swallows and seems a little uncomfortable with that.
actually, yeah, I look at Mysteria and I say, and do you consider that honorable, dishonorable, or it's all the same?
There was one other request that we'll need to accomplish before we get anything out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke of the thesis that I presented at the end of my schooling in Mokulin and claimed that there was one fatal flaw in it that I must identify. I spent months working on it, and I've realized that what I presented, with all that work and how close I am to it, I am too close to identify the flaw myself. And I was hoping maybe the Gavel might be able to help me in that endeavor.
Of course.
I doubt I'd
I'd
very, very
love
much
to
help.
reread your thesis.
So she takes out like a 30-page stack of 30 pages and hands it over to Mockery. It's one of my greatest accomplishments, and also the thing that got me exiled from Mokulin. And she definitely seems very like nervous and careful about her words.
Remind me, did Wisteria ever tell us exactly
Yes.
what her thesis
no.
was about?
I think so.
Not explicitly.
Yeah,
Okay.
we know that she was exiled. We don't know why.
Has Mockery been able to read the thesis before?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say is Mockery able to read?
No. Mockery reads all the time!
Oh yeah, I know.
He's the only one of the gavels that does Wisteria's report.
Yeah, that's
So
true,
it would have definitely been among all of her notes. I think I sent the Google Doc with her backstory to y'all at some point. I don't know if you've read it or anyone got a chance to read through it, but it would definitely cover all of that. But if not, I can also just kind of explain the main idea.
Yeah, Mockery would have absolutely read the thesis.
Yeah, so let's see, I'm trying to figure out how to get to the point of this without taking up too much time. Let's see.
I can try to summarize it if you want to, or unless you got one.
Say that again.
I can try to summarize it unless you got a summary.
Yeah, I think that would help.
Definitely. So Wisteria's big piece with that, with Mokulin being a capitalistic society with a lot of different interests competing within itself, that the free sharing of information would both help to remove corruption, but also help to increase profits. That with a kind of Wisteria, do you have a board or just kind of free information overall? Was it like just everybody?
Let's see. Double checking. So this is me reading from what I wrote in the past, but I propose the establishment of an organization to investigate and gather all the data of wealth movement in Mokulin to better centralize and understand the economic growth of our nation. Should this thesis be accepted, researching the proper strategies for adopting and maintaining the cultural shifts needed for this organization to succeed will be my next project. So yeah, like just some sort of organization, and she doesn't have the details of that yet. So the idea is that like this thesis is, hey, we need this. Here's evidence why this would help us. And then the next project, if they agree to it, which they didn't, would be to figure out the best way to make this happen and establish some sort of organization or board to do so. And she'll kind of explain after going through that like, and I only realized this in hindsight, but the reason that they weren't too happy with it is that my approach to presenting this was infiltrating the homes of my professors and gathering evidence to create all of my case studies. So that, and I was trying to give them evidence that that would appeal to their personal investment strategies, and they would really see the fruit of having knowledge shared, but they didn't take it that way.
Wisteria, did you tell them outright you did that?
Not outright, but I mean, they after the presentation, they started asking questions about where this information came from. I mean, I changed all the names in the presentation. I anonymized it, but it seemed like they were still able to make the connections and figure that out. I should also, my father was one of those professors. Again, he made mistakes that cost our family a fortune and seemed like wise investment strategies, but only due to their secrecy. And if they were not kept a secret, the wealth of the nation as a whole would have been dramatically higher.
And I do want to pause here because I found something funny that Wisteria said way earlier in the session. I was hoping somebody would call her on it. But when you guys are talking about like having like to struggle to survive, From backstories, Wisteria is the richest.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
The wealthiest.
I was like, I feel like she was like well off, really well educated, and from a very rich, high area, literally high.
I mean,
I'm
Will
going to be
Murray,
real
Yeah.
with
you
you.
came from
Mark,
a
I feel like
story
everyone
family
had.
before.
I feel like everyone had that kind of like very decent upbringing and at least some semblance of wealth to it, save for Mockery.
Belric,
I'm not sure about Belric.
wealthy either. He's working.
Oh,
His family's working
yeah.
class, we'll say.
And I think G doesn't catch onto that immediately. Instead, the explanation wraps up, he has this very confused look on his face, and he says to Wisteria, that thesis is incredibly honorable and shockingly impragmatic. It doesn't. Where was the Wisteria that wrote this? The ideals that she had.
I'm not sure I follow. Everything about this was built off of direct evidence and mathematical analysis of how to practically reach optimal wealth income for Moklin. And she like shows you all these graphs and charts and like starts pointing out numbers.
Yeah,
and...
I pat him. I pat G down the back. I'm like, just will help.
Right. Yes. Of course. Yeah. Entirely objective. Yes. Okay. Well. Well, in the long term, do you think that doing this operation, this heist, will help you establish this free information sharing organization and reduce the corruption in Moklin? No? Oh. Well,
it seems to be
a way to make
exactly
some
the
money
opposite.
yeah, well, in that case, I'm going to say this is a dishonorable operation.
Oof.
Wait, there actually is honor in it. It's still a blow against that one. And you see Mockery actually have to restrain himself for a second. The man who made the forgeman. His crimes against the Black Tusks. Well, let's just say I'd like to see him burn in hell. Quite actually. And if this is a blow against him, I'm all for it.
Sorry, whose crimes against the Black Tusks?
So yeah, I forgot about that myself. Actually, it's a good callback, Mockery, Burger. I mean, but yeah. So with that, the Forge Master during like the Infernal Invasion, he pretty much captured like a ton of the Black Tusk and made them into Forgemen.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It was a Black Tusk. I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? That's where he got the ring for his tusk.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I get it. I know. That was my whole arc. I know. I get it now.
Will would vote yes on it because it is a way to make money that is not horrifying.
And to be fair with this one, you are depending on how you look at corporate ownership, you are retrieving properties stolen from Oakland.
To me, there's not like blood. Like we're not like this is corporate sabotage. Like that's different. This is like a blue or a white collar crime. So I
should have mentioned from now. He definitely doesn't want any bloodshed on this. He wants it. He wants it pretty much a ghost, like in and out without anybody knowing there. But if you are there, he does not want anybody dead or anybody seriously there.
Okay.
I mean, you certainly could have just lied to us. Yeah, I'm on board to help. Let's go.
But I do. Wait, Will. Why are you? I get why you're joining with this, but this is for the same reasons you voted against the weapons. I expected you to vote against this. It's blueprints to an enhanced airship.
Right. An airship isn't gonna Well, an airship could lead to death and destruction, but it doesn't. Us doing this doesn't create an incentive for us to promote chaos and war. You know what I mean? This one is just about, getting somebody that fancy airships.
They're gonna make airships for war, Will.
Is that what the airships are for? I missed that part. My bad.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Tegan gone, or did he just? Okay.
where do we land? Where do we land? Should we take the vote now, or is there more information that we need to get on this?
Well, I think a key factor is, this whole effort would be fruitless if we don't determine what Divine Executive Officer Corden considers to be the fatal flaw in my thesis. And as I said, I don't feel too close to the subject at hand to be able to make a decision on that myself.
I would love to help you, Wisteria, on this, but I don't know anything about economies. I don't think I can help you with this one.
No, but you do know a lot about gods, and I think that might be a factor in it, specifically Corinius's feelings on my thesis. But
for anybody that would like to try to find that flaw, you can take a recall knowledge check using the recall knowledge macro and see if you can spot the flaw.
So,
Mocking would like to do so.
Just be a guess too.
like, I would like to make a guess, which is why he called it impragmatic. Is that the people in power are? Yeah, he's saying this to Wisteria. Wisteria, the people in power are the ones who are most benefiting from the corruption, and so they would not allow this thesis to take effect as written. They would undermine it every step of the way, or in any way that they can. That's his guess.
In fact, you've already seen it with the organized crime here. They control the corruption in order to, have it to where they control everything.
I will add, though, he did think it
I'm
was
gonna try the
potential. He did think, but there's a fatal
I'm going to
flaw.
try the recall knowledge at a -1.
Okay. What you will, it's a lot of economics, a lot of pieces that just really don't fit too well together. You're not really. I won't say it's over your head, but it's just not really. It's not probably what Will enjoys doing.
It's not my area of expertise. This is the kind of thing Will would have skimmed through back at home and not really paid much attention to.
I threw down a recall knowledge, but depending on what information I get, I got to think about how Wisteria would present it to the group, depending. But she will respond to what Jeet said, saying, that's the part that still confounds me, because, we've talked about the honor of Eteria, and the best I can understand the honor of Mokoan is wealth above all else. And my statistics prove that this is the path to true wealth, is complete openness and honesty. So the people in power, if they understand this to the extent that I do, should be able to see that it's more profitable for them.
The problem with principles is that they're ultimately implemented by people. And yes.
But it's like a lack of understanding, and this is the purpose of the next project, is to figure out how to implement this. And some of the ideas I had were that, if knowledge and understanding is part of the thing holding people back, then we invest money in schools and education. And that will help get people to the point where they can understand this. And again, it's all about the end goal of maximum wealth for Mokoa. And it may take time to get there, but every good investment is like that.
Wait, you don't want educated buyers if you're a corporation, though. You want people to grab anything you put out if they know about the. There's a lot that goes into this.
But if you look at paragraph 3, subsection B, I clearly spell out how educated and profitable, or educated and profitable populace has the wealth to spend, and when you have this imbalance of power, the non-wealthy don't have the money to spend, and so the economy stagnates.
I have a question. Has your proposal taken into account pettiness? I mean, it sounds funny, but hear me out. There's a great deal of times when somebody will sacrifice their own, what do you call it?
Self-interest.
Their own self-interest. That's the right word. Thank you. In order to make sure somebody they hate doesn't get what they want.
I mean, I've heard this happen very commonly in dishonorable societies outside of Ateria.
Let me go real quick, Mockery. But with kind of what Will, G, and Mockery have said in your own kind of recall knowledge role, Wisteria, and this isn't from Wisteria's point of view, but this is definitely kind of what you think, from what you know, from the limited religious studies you've done with Corinius, on Corinius, and then kind of Moklan as a whole. You would probably guess that between pettiness and rivals sabotaging each other, if they had all of the information and could just figure out what a smaller rival was doing and could bleed a little bit, but then get a rival out of the picture. Between Corinius and one of his anathemas is to never give up power without cause or gain. You would think that they like your idea of someone knowing exactly what everybody is doing, but that someone should be Corinius and those under him. Everybody reports to Corinius. He makes sure everything's on the up and up. There's no corruption, and everybody's making the most money. They maximize the profits, and the information is only shared for those that can betray. At least that's what Corinius' perspective would be, especially with his anathema of never giving up power without cause or gain.
Yeah. So, taking in what everything says, Wisteria would basically kind of repeat that and explain that, like, it seems like what we know about Corinius, he would be opposed to giving up power in a sense, but without cause or gain. And I've clearly outlined the gain and cause here. And the idea of a central body having all the information and it not being open completely undermines the entire procedure to establish the end results. And she's going to keep arguing for her thesis until somebody tries to convince her otherwise.
Right. Whose gain, whose cause, and whose gain. That's what you had to bring into picture. Right now, you're thinking about all of Moklan's cause and gain, but it's not about all of Moklan. It's about the people who are implementing it.
But they're included in all of Moklan. So if all of Moklan's gain is maximized, it includes them. That's simple.
No, I say fuck Moklan. We're making our own government. We implement it here.
It's about, sometimes it's about the hierarchy and the relative wealth. It's not about a rising tide. It's about having more than your neighbor, having power over your neighbor. And as chagrined as I am to admit it, even in Ateria, this doesn't happen with wealth, but this happens with honor, with social shame. That if you can find something to hold over your neighbors, people do it.
It sounds to me, Wisteria, like your thesis is very sound. The leadership in Moklan is the one that's wrong. So I suppose that might be cold comfort, but at least you have, at least in the opinions of your associates, you're right. It's those people who exiled you who are wrong.
It's just, I thought I could understand a place enough to make a difference there, and all of this is built off of my understanding of Moklan's goals. And now I'm starting to feel like those understandings are wrong. And everything that Moklan says it believes in is not actually what its honor is.
Unfortunately, that is often the case, I find. And then Will goes on a 40-minute rant about how he doesn't trust power structures. No, I'm kidding.
And as you guys discuss this, everybody give me a perception check, too.
We're getting assassinated now. We've been
That's
in one place too long.
You don't have a
Big Brother is watching.
While the perception check is going, Mockery will offer some iguana to Beshnet.
Oh, is that cannibalism?
Oh no.
From a certain point, he's dragon folk, so yeah, so it's not luckily not cannibalism for him, but he does give it a weird sniff before just shrugging and going, "I'm here," and biting, taking a bite out.
It has the taste of the brine.
Perception. You notice as kind of you're discussing, you do see some honeybees kind of floating around the room. They're just buzzing around the room. Belric, you as well. Just kind of see some of the honeybees buzzing around, mostly kind of around Wisteria's side and kind of the side where this 30-page thesis is at. But you do see those honeybees just kind of just buzzing around, but not like buzzing like in the usual bees path. They're just like here, there, all over the place. They're like almost doing circles around this area.
Spy bees. We've got spy bees.
Yeah. I know what this is.
Jeet will just sniff the air to make sure there's nothing floral or honey-like around Wisteria first. And then very casually, he'll start closing the doors and windows to try and trap the bees.
Is there any nature check I could do to determine like what sort of bees there are, where the bees came from?
Yeah, give me a nature check.
Gladly.
You get a little bit of information on these. One of the things you see, you're not really able to identify these bees, but the biggest thing that you get, especially with how long you've been in Eteria, these type of honeybees shouldn't be in Eteria. These type of bees don't really survive in a desert climate.
If Mockery picks up on the bees, could he roll religion on them to see if he could identify them?
Oh, give me a recall knowledge check, yeah.
I will need some help with that.
I will roll that for you.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Much appreciated.
No worries, man. Do I
I thought you meant you were asking like one of us to like try to do the help, like the aid activity with your recall knowledge. I'm like, how am I going to help you remember something?
Oh, why is this not on? There we go.
Will's like, no, am I attracting critters again? Tired of this like fairy tale princess nonsense.
I forgot Will does attract animals every now and then. Yeah, and it's probably for Will. Like this is probably like the biggest thing. It's like they're not like they're in the room, but they're not swarming around you like they usually do. It's like they've got a different target for once. But let's see, where's we?
Yeah, I think I failed on the perception check, so I don't notice them at all. I just thought that was a funny joke.
Sweet. So yeah, Mockery. Unfortunately, you're not really familiar with what these bees are.
Hero point, because Mockery's heard the legends of old.
All right.
When we do recall knowledge, like we don't see what's being rolled and all that. Like what is happening? You know what I mean? Like it's automated in Foundry, so I'm like, what is being added to this roll is what I want to know, I guess.
Oh, so if you ever get a chance to look at it, it gives like all of your lore skills, so like Arcana, crafting, medicine, nature, all of that, and it gives me what the roll is and what the modifier is, so I can go through and see which one's actually.
Oh, so you can choose like which one is appropriate and then apply the appropriate. Okay, got it.
Oh, well, it applies to everything, so I get like a big block text of everything that would fit.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's enough on the second one. So you do realize that the honeybee is one of the symbols of Noticia, the goddess of knowledge. Often ascended to godhood at the same time as Kosir, and oftentimes companion or a friend of Kosir.
Mockery will smile when he sees that and goes,
Well, I said perhaps you should have looked into the gods. Looks like some of the gods are looking into you, Wisteria. Beast,
Wait,
He points to them.
Notitia, the goddess of knowledge.
Wait, these bees are Noticia?
And
It's very possible.
Oh, go ahead.
It's very possible. I know a decent bit about her because, well, legends of old, the Grove saved her.
I know these
From-
bees
no,
are not
yeah.
from. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna add in real quick. Like, I know these bees aren't local to the Eteria area. I've been here for months and I haven't seen anything like it.
In Mockery and the group, anybody that's proficient in religion would know after kind of bringing up kind of Notitia and the bees. The bees probably aren't themselves Notitia, but she does often use both like just regular honeybees like these as well as like bee people to go through and gather information from the world.
So wait, these are information gathering? Are they trying to steal your thesis? Are these bees to incorporate espionage?
Oh, I have like 4 backup copies. They can take it.
The bees.
But you can tell she's still trying to like process this twist and seems a little at a loss for what to do.
You do see, especially after you call out Notitia and call out the bees, you do see the bees begin to swirl around the table. And you see like this kind of just yellowish gold glow kind of appear underneath like this little tornado of bees. And you do see just a simple card laid out. And you see on it a name. You see head librarian Oline. It doesn't like have like a, there's no phones. It doesn't have like a number. But you do sense some magic around it. So you definitely kind of guess it may be a calling card or a way to reach out to the head librarian of Notitia. But we'll get to that aspect a little bit later.
Why can't anything around here be normal?
Well, this is normal. The gods interact with the world.
Right, I forgot I live in a world of magic and wonder for a moment.
I mean, Mockery, I appreciate your advice, and it seems like I don't know. It's just I don't know where the gods have been my entire life. Like I've reached out to them in times of need and never heard anything. It's the you and G both the way you, and Will to an extent. It's just a relationship that I don't understand, and it's not the kind of relationship I've ever been in. It's strange to me that you have this, as far as I can tell, it's like a close connection to a being of immense power, and yet why do they not do more for you if that relationship is as close as it seems?
It's just faith.
That's what everybody tells me, and that's the part that I'm struggling to understand.
No, okay, no. I'm going to say it's not just faith. If you were responsible for the desires and wishes of 200,000 people, all with competing desires and wishes, and you had the power to make it come true, but it would oppose some other people's desires and wishes, and you had your own desires and things you wanted to influence, how would you go about it? What if you were a god, Wisteria, is what I'm asking. What would you do?
I wouldn't destroy the Dosen Federation as my hometown was destroyed. I understand where you're coming from in this regard, Wisteria, and I have trouble seeing through these myths and lies and sometimes fabrications myself.
If I might interject, faith is let, faith is belief in something, a trust in something, even when the facts are against it. Even when logic would seem opposed to you. You believe in it, and you fight for it. And I believe that's anathema to you. To a certain extent, at least. You look for all the facts, all the truth that there is. And sometimes, the gods can be fickle, and they don't provide everything. Like Jeet said, there can be a conflict of interest. And you just must trust. And not everyone can do that.
I mean, I can understand treating the gods the same way you might, a powerful teacher who has a lot of responsibility, but you are one of their students, or, a leader of a nation that you serve and in turn they provide. But when you talk about things like that way, Mockery, it doesn't line up with that for me. And it's so far beyond. I mean,
because it's not any of those things. We're talking about gods, not a teacher, not a parent, not family. We are talking about something beyond you that you give yourself in service to. It is not a human thing. It is not a mortal thing.
What have the infernal gods done for you beyond what you could have done for yourself and what the people that you surround yourself with could have done for you?
Look at me. When I was young, I was a runt. You have seen me grown. You have seen me gain more gifts over time. If you saw me before I was dedicated to the infernal gods, you would not recognize me. I'd merely be... Wisteria, I'd be shorter than you. I'd be shorter than... Actually, I'd be around the same size as Beric.
So I guess that's just it for me. The gods haven't done anything for me yet, so I don't have any reason to have faith in them. But if they start doing things for me, then...
Yeah. So if they physically...
Well, here's your first step. One of the gods has quite literally given you a calling card. A person you can talk to. You want to spread information? That's one of Noticia's main things. I believe you were in the wrong place, looking to the wrong gods, trying to help the wrong people. Now, that can change.
I think you're right. If anyone knows what faith is, it's you. And she'll kind of stand up and try to see if there's some way she can interact with like the magic of this card. If it's something similar to the tablet that Velnu gave her, or
is it
what
just
else you can
with
do
an
to...
address on it?
Yeah.
So there is a way for you to kind of the magic with it that will connect. We will get to that portion a little bit later. There is one last thing I want to make sure we get to today. Before, is there anything else we want to wrap up with this scene?
If Wisteria's leaving or anything, we'll before she goes off, we'll be like, if they try to put anything in your head, say no. Yeah. Okay. Shut up. Listen, I'm trying to. Yo, we're different. All right. This isn't the normal arrangement.
I think as a group, the vote will land on like, yes, we are doing this heist.
Perfect. We will get into a little bit. There's spoiler. There'll be a competing offer with this from Noticia. But I do want to get in one little piece in before we go. Actually, is there anything else with this scene that we want to do?
I mean, if we are doing a vote, Wisteria would vote against the heist.
Oh,
Interesting. Spicy.
Yeah.
Well, apparently now we're finding out that there's an alternative. So let's hear both of the options before we do.
I don't think there's an
Yeah,
I don't think
we
there's an
can-
alternative yet.
Yeah, it's in the future. Yeah.
I think there would potentially be an
I
alternative.
think for the scene, Mockery will add one last thing to Wisteria.
Regardless if it is Notusia, the infernal gods, or one of the weaker ones, if you find the gods and that helps you, then I am happy for you. If you do not find one and find that it is independence that is best for you, I am happy for you. I stand with you no matter what.
And probably for like the first time this whole night, except maybe when she was defending her thesis, she gives Mockery a very warm smile and says, you don't need to remind me of that. I know you would. That's why I recruited you, because I know how strong your faith is in the people that help you.
perfect. Well, you guys leave the inn or the tavern where you all brought democracy to the gavels, that kind of like said you guys get the files get a little bit lesser vote, but they still get a vote. And decided how to proceed forward morality with the gavel organization, and begin. Actually, with that, does the group all make your way back to the monastery? Does anybody stay in Akara? Will, you in particular, where do you stay in Akara, or do you go back into the Burning Dragon Monastery?
We would probably feel more comfortable in Akara, I think. Just out of the sort of what he feels like is a, Will has a complex relationship with religious organizations.
Fair.
So yeah, I think he would stay in Akara, even though he is a little bit worried about getting assassinated for not any real particular reason.
The nice things with the Terrians, they usually hold to their word, so you probably won't get assassinated to at least at the very end of the tournament. Now, will it be a minute after the tournament ends or far after? Who knows? But the tournament will end. But with that, though, what type of place does Will stay at? I should say. Does he find like an inn? Does he? Well, where does Will go?
Yeah, I suppose an inn would be the only real place he would end up. Probably just something real simple, nothing fancy. Definitely not like, nothing gross, but trying to not stand out for now. He's saving up to splurge for the fancy stuff later.
Yeah, you're definitely able to find kind of a modest inn on that side, above a tavern with its. If Will winds up hungry, some good food, some good drink. But basically, as like you're beginning to kind of turn down for the night, you do hear kind of a knock at your door, and you hear the innkeep go, "Hey, you! Will, you!"
Will would get up, since he puts on his coat back on, which he had taken off, and answers the door. Can I help you with something?
That's a different coat. You change clothes. You were just downstairs. You ordered a lot of drinks and then left. What happened? I mean, I gotta pay your tab.
Did you said I'm wearing a different coat than I was a moment ago?
You were wearing a blue coat earlier and a scarf. I don't wear the scarf. I don't care. You owe this money on the tab, and you see him pass like this little satchel too. You forgot your satchel.
All right. Do I recognize that description? Would I know anybody who famously wears a blue coat and has a sash?
You a scarf. You wouldn't recognize that description. And he's definitely confident. Like, no sense motive check necessary. He's confident it's you, but wearing different clothes.
Did I do that?
But he goes out. 2 silver. Take your satchel.
All right. Just to get him to go away, we'll give him the 2 silver.
You pay the 2 silver. He goes away. You see the satchel. Within it, you do find 2 silver. But you also find a note. And it goes pretty actually very simple. It's meet me outside.
Interesting. All right, Will is gonna he's gonna get dressed again. He just got finished getting undressed, so he puts his clothes all back on. And grabs his staff because he's worried about what's gonna happen. And he goes downstairs. As he walks through like the sort of open part of the place, he tries to look casual, but then as he gets outside, he begins looking around to see if anyone appears to be looking for him.
Give me a perception check.
Oh boy.
It takes you a while, and like as you are like, looking around, you see like you almost don't spot them, but then you hear a laugh, and you see. I don't know how often Will looks in a mirror, but you do see kind of a version of yourself.
Very often.
Grin on, laughing. They got like this nice looking scarf though. Kind of flipped aside. It's like this blue with kind of almost runic trim on it. And you see them duck behind an alley. Still laughing. They're not trying to like hide from you. You can hear them laughing as they duck into the alley.
All right. So I just saw a copy of myself wearing slightly different clothing just disappear into the alleyway laughing.
A little bit nice. Your clothing's very nice. Slightly, probably because of the scarf, it looks a little bit nicer.
Well, I can't let that stand. But that's actually terrifying though. Will is going to do the horror movie thing and go and investigate. He's just gonna, but before he goes, he's gonna cast guidance on himself. Because it's scary. He's like, what's going on here? Am I about to get attacked by a shapeshifter or something? Replaced? And he goes through a whole hold on. I have 0 hit points for some reason. I don't know why I have 0 hit points. Let me fix that.
You did get kind of beat up on that side, but you definitely not full. Like, you still get like a down on your spells, but add HP. You won't need HP for this, but if you want to add HP, throw some HP.
Sure. And I definitely don't still have these up. Sorry, I'm just setting up my stuff. All right. And so Will is gonna walk around the corner. He's gonna cast guidance on himself, and he's just like, Rashana, keep an eye out. I don't know what's going on. And that's how he casts guidance on himself. And he's gonna go into the alleyway. He's gonna also cast. Can I cast light? Yes, I can cast light. Concentration's not a thing in this game. So he also is gonna have the halo floating up above his head to light up the dark area. And he looks down into the darkness to see what's going on in there.
So the halo, the divine light from Rashaniel, definitely casts like a holy glow through the alley. You see yourself kind of still smiling, and you're like the alternate version of you gives a theatrical bow, and it goes, "Will of Rashaniel." Like looking in the mirror, I've heard a lot about you. Come to you with an opportunity, but I got a question first.
All right. What is your question?
Do you remember a Lord Bear Malgus? You counted him some time ago.
I believe I do, yes.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Well, the big question is...
Will is taking a step back somewhat nervously.
Oh, no. We're not here to fight you. We want to know. Did you fry his brain because you wanted his wife? Or why?
What?
No, I did not. I didn't want his wife. That he was intending. He was threatening me because he said I was trying to steal his wife. I most certainly was not, but he was threatening to attack me. So I, showed him I've got friends, and that tends to do serious harm to those of weak will. So maybe I went a little too far that time, but no, I was not trying to steal his wife.
Well, we had to ask. What do you think with lords like that abuse their power against you who could have been powerless? How does that make you feel?
Well, Baron Malgus was a blowhard and an absolute buffoon. But I'll be honest, it did give me a bit of satisfaction to see him taking down a few pegs.
That's good. And you see her you see yourself shift the scarf, and you see like the appearance completely change as the scarf is shifted. You see the person shrink down. You see the hair grow out and straighten, and you see kind of your features morph in to that of a middle-aged woman. You see she's got dark hair, ornate robes. The scarf is still there, and you see her smile and gives like a little bit of a theatrical bow. And she goes, well, now that you've seen yourself, now you can see me. It's nice to meet you. I am Kara of Vox Populi. You're on mute.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I feel like you've got me at a bit of a disadvantage because I don't know a thing about you.
Will, and so you give me a society check, but you will know a little bit about them even without the society check. So let's see how that goes for you. So Will, you've heard of them, not too much information, but you've definitely heard of them. And you kind of you almost thought they were a folk legend or an old wives' tale. Vox Populi. Will, you speak Elvish, right?
I don't think I do. Let me check real quick. Nope.
You don't? Okay.
You do? Celestial and Common.
With your role, you would know. Vox Populi, Elvish, voice of the people. They're like, from what you know, probably an old wives' tale and myth. But they're this group of people that like to investigate and expose nobles, particularly nobles who misuse their power or try to bully the small folk. Pretty much just anything that would kind of go against the people. With that too, they would definitely kind of be somebody that, especially after what you've done to Lord Baron Malgus, somebody that would take interest in, if they were real, what Will's next steps were.
Well, I suppose it's an honor to meet you. To be truly honest, I wasn't sure that this organization of yours was even real. I do want to point out, I did not actually melt that man's brain. That is a complete fabrication. We don't need to talk about exactly what I did do to him, but I didn't melt his brain.
What we did hear that he's not really been the same since, a little bit simple in the head.
Yeah, that was me. But I didn't melt his brain. We're not worrying about that right now.
Potato.
What can I do for you?
Oh, no, yes. Well, thank you for asking. I see potentially. We've done a little bit of research on you and some of the rumors, and we had to make sure that it wasn't just. Fortunately, there's a lot of rumors about you and wives. We had to make sure that wasn't the true reason.
All right, so that has happened a few times. I promise every single time it has been a falsehood.
You give her a wink and smile. We believe you. But neither here nor there. As long as we feel, especially with your background, and we won't go into this, but the luminescence and the church, we feel that you know what it is to be pushed around by those in power. We don't like people being pushed around by those with power. We're the voice of the people. And we think you have potential to be amongst our ranks.
Very interesting. Will is gonna like sort of turn around and like just for a second, sort of look like over his shoulder. Huh. And would you say that you are an organ? He's like sort of looks at no one in particular, but it says, would you say that this is an organization intended to do good in the world and perhaps smite evildoers in some way, in a more metaphorical sense?
You kind of see her pause. Goes, yes, we're all about doing good, fighting for the people. I mean, I wouldn't say smiting evildoers, but
one might call those that you are against. You might call them evildoers, right? These corrupt nobles.
You see her like look at you and go, "Oh, yes, wait, they're very evildoers. These are nobles that are misusing their powers. Smiters or people, no, smities."
Right. Interesting. I think I can be on board with something like that.
You see,
Tell
like,
me, what would I have to
you
do exactly?
like, I'm sorry, I have to ask. Everything you say, part of what you say, always, just curiosity's sake.
What do you mean?
She looks back at behind you in the hallway.
Oh, I have a friend from beyond who is always on my side.
We've heard. Well, we think our calls can align with both you and your friend. But we do have a little bit of an initiation test. You're going to be competing in the tournament, right?
That's the plan, yes.
Okay. Well, we've heard that you're going to be competing in the tournament, and we would like you to attend a soiree for us.
I do love a good soiree.
And the nice thing with this, too, is this is going to be mutually beneficial for us because do you know Lord Baron Malgus? He has a sister, and she is in Eteria, attending the tournament. And one thing I'll give you free, do you know those luminescents that have been hunting you?
Yeah.
She's been sponsoring them.
Why? Hold on. Wait a minute. Now, what? They came after. They found me here because Baron Malgus's sister found
she's
me
Lady Malgus
and sent
now.
them after me. What, Lady Malgus?
Well, yeah. I mean, you did just fry a noble's head and just kind of peace out, but she found some of the enemies and said, "Hey, he's in Eteria, and here he is, and all of this." But the biggest thing is we think the Malgus family isn't really treating their people right. We think that there's some dirt that can be found upon them and exposed to the light, exposed to the people. And we're hoping you can do that for us.
So you want me to gather information about the Malgus family?
Yes. Lady Malgus, along with her attendants, will be attending the soiree. She's going to be there on Lord Cornaxon's airship with the opening soiree for the week of the tournament festivities. We want you to go there, use that natural charm of yours, sweet talk her attendants, see what information and dirt you can bring out from them, use a little bit of magic if you need to, but as long as no one's hurt and that the information is exposed to the people in Eteria, if you can do this, we'll bring you into our ranks and let you in a few of our trade secrets.
I am very interested in your proposal. Out of game, Tegan, would Lady Malgus recognize me if she saw me?
She probably would, especially because you'll be entering. You would need because with this too. So the airship is going to be the same airship that Wisteria is doing her heist with Lord Cornaxon's airship from Codinia.
Of course.
So with this, the nice piece of it is you're a contestant within the tournament. Axon, the higher lord of Codinia, has extended an invite to any champions that want to come and hang out. So she'll recognize you, but she can't keep you out.
Interesting. Well, Will would bow to the lady. I'm sorry, her name was Kara, she said?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ms. Kara, should I call you that? Ms. Populi? What should I call you?
Just Kara. I speak for the organization, but the organization, let's say we're pretty flat. We try to come together with our own consensus. Going against the nobles and all that, we didn't want a whole huge formal hierarchy. We just want to do what's right by the people.
That's what I like to hear. Now, I would absolutely love to be a part of this. Is there anything else I should know before I go into this? Can you tell me, like...
Biggest thing? I'm not sure if they'll have luminaries there with them, but they are supporting the luminaries. So just be aware of that. They're hunting you. The biggest thing with our organization, and I know that you travel with a very adept group of warriors. We like to bring the corruption to light and let the system sort it out. So with this, we think if we can bring to light the corruption within the Malgus household, either the Etarians or the Codinians that they're coming along with, we'll deal with them, but we don't want you to do it, if that makes sense.
That certainly works for me. And trust me, Will is actually going to reach up and like just flick the halo floating above his head, and it, instead of like, it makes the sound of a ringing bell when he does that, and he says, "I am very good at bringing things to light."
I see that. All right, well, as I said, you see her kind of like throw over the stone to you. We'll be around. Let us know how it goes. We'll be watching as well, because we want to see if you can truly bring the corruption to light and speak for the people. But until then, be lucky, I guess. You see her flip the scarf again, and you see the like completely changes. Before, where she looked either like you or then like a young woman, now she just looks like an elderly woman. And you see her kind of toddle off down the alleyway. She goes, "Until I see you again."
I look forward to a very mutually beneficial relationship. And then Rashanael speaks up and says, "We will do this for you."
You see she kind of like, she pauses for a moment, like you get surprise evident on her face. Oh, she can talk. Good to know.
From time to time.
Will and Rashanael will say, until we meet again.
Will bows.
She kind of totters along into the streets of Akara. But that is where we'll wrap up today's session. Next session, Mount Wisteria, we will kick off with the other offer that Wisteria has, this time from the libraries of Noticia, on same data, but kind of which way they want to go with it. We'll get into that a little bit more next session. And then we'll get into the adventure itself as well. This is going to be, kind of see how the crew divides themselves up, because this will be both a heist as well as a, what's it called? Influence fest or smooth fest, we'll call it. See kind of what information you guys can gather, what things you can bring to life. And kind of depending on how the group wants to tackle that, you can try to do one after the other, both at once. Up to the crew on that side. Too late for today, but one thing, we still have a week of downtime that we have to do as well before you guys can make your way to the tourney grounds. So we'll let's do that between sessions. And then we'll get next session in there with getting into what's going on, or getting into the heist as well as the expose there. Before I wrap up, does anybody have any questions? Perfect. Sweet. So we are off on the 4th. We'll be back on the 11th, picking into that session. Then we'll get into Belric's archetype adventure and then into the tournament, the fight for peace. So yeah, definitely stay tuned, viewers, for that. I think the tournament will be a lot of fun, and especially some interesting archetype adventures before then too. But yeah, till next time, everybody.